Understanding how stats work is the most important thing for Kirby Air Riders, so if you're thinking it's a racing game made for kids and everything seems self-explanatory enough, you're about to realize how wrong that thought is, and we're going to start off with the most important stat in the game. And if you're thinking top speed, you're wrong because it's weight. Yeah, because weight increases top speed, it also affects glide, it affects your defenses, and it also gives you combat power. So if you're planning on just going as fast as possible and winning as many races as possible, you don't want to avoid weight because it multiplies your speed stat along with top speed. Or if you enjoy playing characters and machines that do better in flight-based stadiums, then you want to know to avoid the weight patch because it's going to weigh you down and make your gliding worse. However, it doesn't only negatively impact gliding because it gives you flight stability. So if you're ever just kind of like going around and then you hit a little bump and then shoot straight up, that's because you don't have enough weight to stabilize your flight. So if you actually plan on like winning a race, because Drag Race 3 has a lot of little bit of air hills, so if you're playing like a glide-based racer, getting some weight to keep you stable when you just take a jump for a racing boost is actually going to be really good, but you want to avoid weight as much as possible if you're going to be doing like a high jump or the glide stadium. And having a little bit of weight can make it easier to win target flight, and it also kind of shows why understanding stats is the most important thing, because depending on what you get and the character that you're using, you want to be able to like pivot to have the best chance of winning whatever stadiums come up. So if you end up with a lot of weight or you're not getting a lot of glide, even if you're playing someone like Starman or Cappy, well, that's kind of like, hey, if I just get top speeds and go onto a Rex Wheelie or a Battle Chariot or something, I'm just still going to have a good chance of winning different kind of stadiums, and it can just be based around weight. Also, weight is going to give you an offensive punch that you plow into people harder, which deals more damage, and weight also gives you defenses and knockback resistance. So it's not, oh, I just need to get health and defense if I don't want to get destroyed in a derby. Having weight is going to help with that as well, both defensively and offensively. Also, one of the most important things about weight is something that isn't really talked about, documented, or acknowledged, and that's how it helps you farm in City Trial, because you bounce off of things a lot less, which means you're not getting pinballed around while just trying to break open a box. So a character that doesn't have a hammer like D2D or a sword like Meta Knight, they're still able to efficiently break the crystals in the Crystal Cave or open up boxes, which gets really contested for like the rare box secret event stuff if you have weight. Now you also want offense behind that, so you break the box a lot faster, but being able to drive through, or even if like Cappy gets on a Wagon Star, picks up some weight, and then can actually plow into other characters and plow into item boxes to open them up faster, that's going to substantially help how you're progressing and gaining stats through City Trial. Weight also gives you grip, so it contributes to having better handling. Now you might be thinking, oh, so if I get a lot of weight patches, something that has a hard time slowing down is going to stop on a dime and then be easier to control. Wrong, because that's where boosting comes into play. So boost is actually a complicated stat, because if you're just reading the name of it, you might be thinking, oh, so when I press B to charge and then boost, if I get more boost patches, it's going to give me more of a burst of speed when I come out. Yes, but also not only that, because boost equals acceleration, which means if you're just naturally going into top speed, you want a lot of boost, and that's going to be really important on certain characters and machines that take a long time to get up to their top speed. This also means boost is useful for characters or machines that are harder to control, because if you're bumping into things, you need to get back to top speed as soon as possible, and this goes back into what I said about weight. So if you have higher boost, you decelerate faster, and that can be really good on a lot of machines. So if you have a Rex Wheelie and you're like, yo, I have 10 weight, why does it take me forever to slow down? Same thing on a Warp Star, where it's like, hey, I need to be able to take these turns better, I need to be able to like actually stop at certain points, but if I get weight, my Warp Star is going to be bad at gliding. No, it's all based around boost for that. And because we're talking about speed and stuff, let's talk about top speed next. Top speed is top speed. It's not going to help how fast you make it to top speed, that's the boost patch, it's just going to be the maximum speed you can achieve, and it gets a bit more complicated than that, but it's mostly like technical vehicle interactions, and that's not what this video is about. You want top speed, you want weight, and then you get to go fast. That's how the game works. Now, turning is as simple as it gets. Your handling increases, so it's easier to go around corners, or even if you're going straight, it's easier to kind of like dodge obstacles or weave into people. But having too much turn can get kind of weird to handle as well, and you don't only need turn to go around turns and stuff. You have drifting, and then other machines are also just going to want to like charge pump, and then you can make your way around a turn that way. But sometimes you don't even have to do that. If you don't need to worry about like charging your vehicle, and you just naturally turn around and maintain top speed on something like a Rex Wheelie or a Wagon Star, turn can be pretty useful just to make sure you have the correct amount of handling for the character that you're using. Charge patch is how fast your vehicle charges. This is going to work with boost, because if you charge faster, you boost more, and then that's going to help with acceleration and stuff like that. Other vehicles are also going to be really useful with that, like you want a lot of charge on a bulk star, that way you keep your fuel topped off high, and you can just take off as soon as possible. Glide patch is gliding, so if you want to fly high and fly far, you want to get a lot of glide. That's going to be very character and machine dependent, and then some characters are going to get benefits from flying more, or the same thing with certain kinds of vehicles, that, oh, a paper star takes off in the air and just goes faster, so you want to stay in the air and get as much speed as possible. There you go. Offense and defense are also self-explanatory, that more offensive patches mean more damage when you're doing spin attacks or even using offensive items. Defense is just going to reduce the amount of damage that you take. Again, defense paired with weight is going to be good, but also offense and weight means you just slam into people and destroy them. Now, offense is just going to be good if you're out there hitting people, because with weight, you want to get that acceleration, you want to get that momentum to slam into someone. But if you plan on using more items, or if you're using like a character's passive to just hit people, then just raw offense is going to be the focus that you want. Now, hit points is one of the most self-explanatory ones. You got the hit point gauge on the right. Don't let that deplete or else you explode. More hit points equals more good, especially with defense and weight, making it really hard for you to KO during a derby or just naturally while playing the game. And then you just survive everything, which is also pretty good. It also helps like tanking and beam gauntlet and stuff, and I guess that also goes back into boost, where if you have a ton of boost, you just straight line through the beam gauntlet and you're fine. But those are only the patches. There's other stats in the game, like grip, lift, and flight speed, and you can see that on the character selection. Also, the combination of character and vehicle is going to have a lot of interactions with this that you really need to pay attention to. So hopefully, this video and guide really deepens your understanding about all of these interactions, and then it's going to be something you need to be conscious of the entire time. Like I said, if you end up with a lot of weight, because sometimes that's just going to happen while playing the game, it doesn't mean your game is over as a gliding based character. It's going to make you faster, and having flight stability is also really good for gathering items around City Trial, or using the little jumps that are in the races for the stadium, that like, oh, you hit that, you stay low, but then you get your flight speed boost or anything like that, a perfect landing, you really take off, keep your boost, acceleration, and top speed high, and now you're actually still doing really well. And then paying attention to those things where it's like, oh, I have a ton of top speed and I have a ton of weight. That's why my speed is like 5-10 miles per hour faster this run, and I'm able to do really well. But if you're not paying attention to your boost stat, and then you didn't realize you got a lot of boost, you're going to be cutting the corners too sharply, and you're not going to be able to drift nicely because you're just hard braking and then trying to take off. So if you end up getting a lot of boost, you might want to look for a bit of turn. That way you don't even have to worry about charging or drifting around corners. You just run a straight race or drag race it a lot better, and then that's going to be how all of that plays. So something to just be very conscious of as everything is coming together. And then you do want to check your stats, you do want to see what vehicles are available that can really help out with that. And then even inside of the individual event, the little micro decisions you need to make to really lean into your stats regardless of what they mean for your character. Now, it's really worth noting for most characters that the stat patches are more important than their base stats. So you don't only want to go, well, this guy has a low top speed, so I'm going to focus on other things. You want to bring all of the stats together to really augment how the character plays. Or even then, like if a character has a really high natural boost, and then really low top speed, it's still going to be really good for the Battle Chariot. It's going to be really good for the Bulk Star. And Cappy is a great example of this, that like, oh, you seem really slow, and you don't scale as crazy as something like a D2D, but your boost and control stats are so high, you get to just crush through City Trial and pick up everything really well, especially if you get some offense. Get offense, break boxes better, zoom around, and then get tons of stats, and then next thing you know, you're just out racing everyone else in the game. And also shows how important boost is because of the machine differences. That's not just, oh, well, the optimization and speedrun stat is, yeah, the fastest character's fine, because if you're not hitting anything and you're playing perfectly, top speed is the only thing that matters. Well, actually, the way that, like, races and machines and characters interact, now you really want boost, and then you stack some top speed and weight on top of it, and now even a character like Cappy with a really low natural speed is going to outperform a D2D in the shorter races. But then some characters are really bound to one thing where it's like, yeah, Starman is just going to be flight and flight speed, so those are the things you focus on, which mostly means stay away from weight. So characters like this are kind of going to be gimmicky, that you're making a specialized gamble that a high jump is coming up and you're just going to get top speed and glide and then have the highest chance of auto winning, but you're still going to like need to use the stat you're picking up to get an idea of how to pivot or make those other micro decisions that can then just give you a better chance of at least not getting totally embarrassed in other stadiums if high jump, glide doesn't come up. Or understanding, hey, a little bit of weight here with my top speed is going to be good for the short derby, or it means I'm not going to like lose total control in target flight, which could be a better decision. Like, oh, I picked up 6 weight. Maybe I don't go for that high jump, and I just go for the target flight, and now I have just that stability to just instantly win, and I use my flight speed to boost ahead of everyone and hit the 100. Pretty good. So that's how important stats are. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.